Hi guys, today we are gonna talk about an important issue, and in particular, how to measure well-being. We ask ourselves also if there are other measures than GDP. And so, by looking to nowadays, in order to answer the question, we have to have a look on what's gonna happen, especially after the COVID emergency. We know the feelings of the pro-growth economists that are very, very worried about the future forecast for GDP. And on the other hand, there are some the growth economists that are not so worried about the future forecast for GDP because they think GDP and gross domestic product is only index and they push for a change, they push for serene the growth paradigm whose features are still to be debated. In the middle of the discussion, there's the Better Life initiative. This Better Life initiative was promoted by the OECD, better known as Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation. The OECD promoted its new index of well-being, and in particular, the Better Life Index. This is something that goes beyond GDP. In order to understand how the Better Life Index was made, we have to go back in the history and to go to 2007, in particular to the Declaration of Istanbul. This paper, guys, was seen by many, many important representatives, and in particular the representatives of World Bank, United Nations, of European Commission, and of Islamic countries. The main output of the declaration was to recognize the importance of promoting an international debate, especially among the statistical institutes, on how to measure progress and also on what's progress, on the meaning of progress. Another important contribution in those years was played by the Stiglitz report. Stiglitz report was done in 2009 by some economists as Stiglitz, as Sen and Sarkozy. And this report recognized the need of measuring well-being by integrating traditional indicators as GDP together with new hardest indicators that have to be both objective and subjective. By the merger of these two papers, in the 24th of May 2011, the OECD Better Life Initiative officially started. Let's have a look on this project. Let's have a look on this campaign. What's the Better Life Initiative? And we have to say that this is based, as I showed you before, on a new index that's made up of 11 main indicators on material life and on quality life. The first one referred to dimension of life as salary, housing, job, and the second one on environment, health, education, social protection, so dimension that reflects not so traditional measures of well-being. The index is measured in the 34th OECD countries plus South Africa and is expected to be measured within the 2030 also in China and India. Another important point is that this index is based on continuous data reception, 24/7 per week. This is something different from traditional indicators at GDP that's measured usually 3 or 4 times per year, and so is based on continuous data reception. The main output is the publication of this report, the House Life report, that is published every 2 years, reporting the recent and the main result on the index. But the main important thing is that you can also contribute directly to the determination of this index. And how? You can just visit the OECD Better Life Index webpage in this link, and you will check out this webpage. In the right-hand side, you find this section to compile and to fill in. You fill in it according to the weights you prefer, uh, for each of the 11th dimension, for each of the 11 indicators, and according to what is more important for you with respect to health, housing, community, and so on. Then, when you have answered, you can check the responses web page and you can compare countries according to the results. Particular here, I am in Italy and I can see that the average age of the respondents is between 25 and 35 years old, mainly, and the gender is mainly female because it's the 58% against the 42% of male. Um, Another important point is that the main dimension that's more important for Italians appears to be education, together with the environment, with salary, housing, health. When you have checked this section, we can also go in the page countries and see a more detailed description of the output for each countries in these 11 indicators. So, guys, what are the pros and the cons of the Better Life Index? That's an alternative to GDP. First of all, a first pro is that it allows to measure dimension of quality of life as health, environment, education, personal activities, and securities. Another important dimension is that it is in line with the ideas of the Stiglitz report when we see that this Better Life Index encourages the statistical institutes of the world dividing between subjective and objective dimension. The objective dimension here can be housing, can be job, can be salary. The subjective can be also the social protection, the perception on security. So these are indicators that are typically something that is subjective and not objective. Last pro is linked with the fact that it involves people in deciding what is more important for them. But when we go on the cons, a first important cons to consider, a first important lack is that it doesn't consider till now any concept of sustainability. And this concept is linked with the idea of keeping the same level of welfare for the future generations. So if you want to, that this index will play a role in the future, is also important to think about what's how to integrate sustainability in it. Then the last cons is linked with the voting method. Because if you think, guys, that you can vote each dimension by assigning a weight from one to 5, it's clear that it's not possible to eliminate all the subjectivity that can be produced by choosing from 1 to 5. And the objectivity of the voting method is fairly questionable. So by looking to the future, guys, we can say that the Better Life Index is something that appears more complete than the GDP. But we have to say that in order to improve its availability across the world and its consideration, it's important to promote it and to improve the public awareness on the existence of this index. Till now, only 6,000 Italians voted, and in Italy, the index was published 9 years ago. Another important point, as I told you before in the cons section, is related to the sustainability. So it's important to integrate this index with indicators for sustainability if you want that this will be promoted also in the international debate and doesn't remain a index for a niche, for a restricted group of people. So, by the way, guys, I share you another time the link to the OECD Better Life Index page if you think that to vote and to contribute is important. So let's turn back. Let's turn back to the question of before. And I try to answer to this question. Are there other measures of well-being than GDP? Answer is absolutely yes, but this yes has definitely to be made up of you. And so, if you don't contribute, it's higher the likelihood that researchers and politicians still consider dimension and traditional indicators at GDP as more important than these more complete economic indexes. So, in conclusion, I ask you and I say you thank you for your attention.